A year ago, you would have regarded the Samsung foldables as dead. Other companies were starting to pull ahead from Samsung, and they had lost their initial advantage of 7 years ago when they unfolded the first foldable. Now you're wondering, how did they bounce back? First, yes, they did still hold, even during the Fold 6 era, the most market share in the foldable market, which the Fold 6 was no upgrade, just chips. But now with the Fold 7, it's better. New chip, lighter, thinner, better, larger, more ergonomic. It's everything that Samsung wants the foldables to be. Now, the folds is the worst selling piece of hardware. Not like the worst selling, but like from a serious standpoint. Like they are outsold by the A series, the M, no, not by the A and S series, which are their main ones. The Folds 2 are main, but out of the three main series, they're the most unsold. Now, with the OnePlus, the Oppos, and all those new foldables that were ultra thin, very good, massive batteries, great cameras, Samsung fell off with the Fold 6. The Fold 6 was big, bulky, fat, you might say. But with the Fold 7, they made it thinner. Not nearly as thin as the Chinese phones, but good enough. To the point where you could say they're catching up and they won't lose their foldable lead anytime soon. Though they have removed S Pen support. That's a big one. Well, not many people used it. They had the same excuse as removing the Bluetooth from the S Pen. And not many people used it, and it was just yet another feature. But you cannot justify that when your price goes 100 or maybe 200, I don't remember, dollars more, which now its price is $1,999, $2,000 for a foldable phone. I think Huawei 2 years ago, when they unveiled the foldable phone, they hit a similar price, but that was a triple folding phone. Nothing that we've seen before. A completely new form factor. But Samsung is selling the same form factor at a bigger price. And the Chinese foldables are a bit more affordable, not too much more affordable, but it's just, what can I say? They haven't dropped the ball, but they haven't improved it that much. Like, there are really big improvements, but not big enough to justify that price jump. Otherwise, fantastic phone. They upgraded the camera bump, made it bigger, which makes it more wobbly on a table. A better screen. No, it has the same battery as last year, which that is a disadvantage. When you have all these new foldables that are thinner than the Samsung Fold 7, and then they have larger batteries. The Fold 7 in Samsung world seems to have the right battery size, but in the smartphone world, like with all the smartphones, it seems to have a smaller battery. because the battery is 4,400, while on the other foldables it seems to reach like 5,000 and 5,200-ish, which leaves Samsung at another disadvantage, but they have upgraded the Fold 7 enough so that it isn't an issue for them. And, well, it's upgrades for Samsung, but for the general consumer, it's nothing, pretty much. When you look at the Oppo, OnePlus, the upgrades seem fine. Like, when you look at Samsung, the Fold, and all their foldables, Fold 1, Fold 2, and so on and so forth, around the Fold 5, they started to stagnate. And at the Fold 5, after that, they pushed the Fold 6, which the Fold 6 at that point was just bad. And if they could have made it thinner during the Fold 6 era, but for some reason they didn't. Because you can see they managed to cram the same amount of battery in it. But I don't know. Why did they didn't make it that thin that quickly? Not my problem, but Samsung's problem. So, yeah. We'll see how this goes. I'm sure they will still retain the lead because Samsung is around the entire world and the Chinese companies pretty much just stay in China and Europe. And I'm sure that they will retain their lead for a long time if they can keep this up. But with the S series, this year there hasn't been any meaningful improvements. Last year there was some meaningful improvements, and from the folds last year there wasn't a big improvement. And this year there are some meaningful improvements, which I don't know. That seems kind of funny to me. How last year the S series was better than the folds, and this year the folds are better than the S series. Otherwise, everything is the same as the Fold 6, just with new chip for Galaxy, the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy. They removed S Pen Sport. Yes, I called that. I told that. I said that. Well, next video will be about the Flip 6. The Flip 6. Goodbye.